The big issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
This one, the Buhari's email. Hello? Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of the big issue. And of course, I hope you had a very wonderful weekend. Well, as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba is my name. And of course, with me here in the studio are our in-house analysts. And of course, I'm talking of legislative experts here. Sunday Sua and Adebi Adedapo.
It's nice to be here.
Good to be here. Well, the big issue for the day is the move by governor to unseat senators from their senatorial districts. And of course, the skirmishes are all between state governors and senators elected on the platform of the governing APC, the PDP, and YPP over plots by the state chief executive to unseat the federal lawmakers from their senatorial districts. Some of the senators who are ranking members of the upper chamber currently represent senatorial districts of their governors, and many of the state chief executives who are serving out their second term in office want to replace the embattled lawmakers in the Senate. And of course, the permutation as at now is that about 70 to 80% of the current senators from the southeast may not return in 2023. And of course, it was gathered that the plans by the governors to replace them informed the decision to yank off the direct primaries from the existing electoral act. And of course, the idea is that with direct primaries, lawmakers believe that they will have a fighting chance and win their parties' primaries, unlike the indirect primaries, where governors can determine the delegates to vote during the exercise. And B, you now understand why this idea of direct primaries became an issue. It was a clear battle between the lawmakers and their state governors. Don't you think so?
Well, in some quarters it has been speculated to be so, but I don't want to believe that that is entire, and that is
the entire idea of the direct primary.
But when politicians want to move from one office to another, as we speak, some senators are scheming to be governors. So it is not out of place for people to lose their various and advance their interests and lose their various ambitions. However, what we should be talking about is what kind of governor would be voted for to be a senator. What is the performance index of such governor, and what has it done to deserve the mandate of these or people to represent them at the right chamber? I've always said that the choice is that of Nigerians, is that of their constituents. A candidate can only represent one political party. And if that candidate, a political party may be good enough, maybe from their manifestos or from their antecedents and all that. But if the candidate has not followed that manifesto and has not shown fidelity to his campaign promises, then the people can decide to look the other way. So it is not a cast of stone. It is not automatic that once a governor gets the nomination of his or political party for a senatorial seat, then because he's a sitting governor, then he has to be voted for. Oyo State, where I come from, the immediate past governor, late Senator Isaac Abiola Ajibobi, contested to represent the people of Oyo South in the Senate. Having spent 2 years as governor, But for whatever, for reasons best known to my people, they decided to vote the other way. So I believe the same situation can be repeated in any state of the federation. However, if a governor is popular enough, having spent maybe one term or two terms, and his people still feels they need his service, I still don't, because it is even good when you have the executive powers and you now have the legislative. You understand what challenges you face as a governor. You understand the things you think legislative powers would better achieve for the good of the people. So, as a legislator or as a senator, you cannot decide to have your own legislative areas of legislative interest to say, oh, as a governor, I try to push for this and that. But due to legislative due to legal legislative limitations, I couldn't. So, therefore, if I can push for this law, if I can if I can spearhead a new law in whatever area, then the governors or even the president and the people will be able to have a legal framework to work with, and the people will have a better governance.
Thank you very much, MB. You said something. I think we'll come back to that so that we want to know whether if all the senators now become governor, whether at the end of the day they will not be too sympathetic to the executive, them having been chief executives before. And then they will now say, oh, I will not be. They will understand that there are certain booby traps and say, no, I understand this experience. I won't allow it happen. Well, before we come back to that, let's look at this. So, is there any law that says after serving second term as governor, you must retire to the Senate? No, that is a is this kind of practice tenable in other or is only in Nigeria? So why is it common in Nigeria?
Well, mostly it's common in Nigeria because we play, we don't play national politics, politics that interest the people. We don't even play regional politics that we talk about. We don't even play politics that help the people. In Nigeria, we play pocket politics. What will benefit me as an individual?
And me alone.
Yes.
And my family.
Yes, and that is
Me by
why
myself and me alone.
you see a governor will not provide road for the people, but if you build a house in that village, you will do road straight to that particular house and provide electricity for that particular house, provide security for that particular house. You don't care about the people. So that's why such people, they have been milking the treasury of the masses. So living outside politics is like sentencing them to imprisonment because they know the privilege that is attached to being in government. And that is why most of them will not even want to play opposition politics, because opposition politics is not about gaining, it's about pressing to ensure that the people benefit from democracy. But you see, these people, whatever that will not benefit them, they don't care about it. So there is no law stating that if you have been a governor, you should go back to the Senate and retire. No.
Thank you very much.
The Senate is supposed to be an institution where credible people, are gathered to enact laws for the betterment of the
people. Thank you very much, Ishua. I think just quickly before we go for
Of course,
what Ishua has said. What Ishua has said is exactly what we are saying here. Most people say this is why the reason why you get a situation where governors automatically allowed lead the leadership of their political parties. It means they want to impose themselves as candidates as well as their cronies in other senatorial districts. So is it not time we begin to abolish this idea of where once you're a governor, you're automatically the leader of a party in the state? Because Nigeria is saying it is even because of this kind of situation that the governors vehemently opposed President Buhari signing of the electoral amendment act into law because of this direct primary thing that was now made compulsory by the lawmakers.
Well, if you ask me, 6 and half a dozen, you have delegates
Mm.
who, in most cases, I'm sorry to use this term, exchange votes for money. But we have also seen that the general public, voters, exchange votes for money, even during general election. So if that voter who exchanged votes for 5,000, 3,000, 2,000 naira were to be a delegate in an election, in a direct primary, what do you think will happen? So if you ask me, six and a half a dozen are the same. There is no difference.
But don't mind you, there are some situations where these voters you are looking would have collected that money and they will go and vote what is in their mind. So am I like,
Yeah.
Well, we should look at the system. In most cases, those people who give money are not idiots. They are not dumps. Before they give the money, you see, compromising an election is a chain, is an organized crime. In most situations, I'm not going to state any particular case, but I know that in some or in most situations, the electoral officers, the security agents, and all that are all aware. And so they look the other way when people show it's supposed to be a secret ballot voting,
Good.
a secret balloting. But they look away when somebody decides to show, expose where he or she had printed so that they can go and collect. Do you think they just give anybody money and trust them to go and vote? No. They must have a proof. And you can see what happened during the last governorship primary in Ekiti State. How some delegates were showing their ballot papers to a certain former governor, a godfather in the
to
state,
confirm that they have
to
delivered.
confirm that they have delivered. So if until from point A to the last point, until the system is strict, and we all decide that we are not going to compromise, then we are not going to have a credible election.
Thank you very much, B. Before we continue, let's just quickly take a short break so that by the time we come back, at least our viewers too would have actually
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
welcome back. We are still on the big issue in leadership podcast, and of course, the big issue of the day is the move by governors to unseat senators from their senatorial district. Well, Isuwatu, back to you. For the senators resisting being pushed out, let's look at these lawmakers now, like the governors. How well have they represented their people? Many of them are sleeping senators, don't forget, because we watch them when they do sleep in that place. And many of them don't have any bill to their names since they have been there. You can't say so senator has been able to present so and so bill. They are as selfish as the governors that want to put them up. So now, what does this tell about Nigerian politicians?
Well, you see, let me cite the example of some states. Like in Kano State, Ganduje want to unseat Senator Jibril Barao, who is the chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation. In Kebbi State, the governor Atiku Bagudu, who is a former senator, he want to unseat a former governor who is now a senator at the Alero. You know, and if you check in some other states, it's happening like that. Not that some of these senators are not doing well. Not that if the governors come, they may not do well. Some of them are experienced, they know. But it's all about politics of interest. They don't care about the well-being of Nigeria. They don't care about the laws of the country, because if they cares about the laws, the same governors that want to come back are the same governors that were kicking against this direct primaries. And either you like it, whatever kind of primaries you fix in Nigeria, the people who are of money backed will still control the process. Because these governors, they have all it takes to fight anybody, because they have the money.
The resources.
Yes, they have the resources, and they are resources they may not account for, in as much as they are on that seat.
Thank you very much. So you see why all this is happening. There is no mechanism to check the level of performance of a senator. You understand? So that we will now know who is performing poorly or who is doing well. And at the same time, one thing you know is that people barely have the yardstick to say, oh, this senator is doing well. Apart from the fact that they will share motorcycles, they will share sewing machines, they will share wheelbarrow, certain kind of things. So there was one senator from Abia said that shared the frying pan. The woman as empowerment, the frying pan. What are you going to fry inside the frying pan when there's nothing to fry? No, wait, I have not finished. This senator was booted out. I think it was the senator that the Senate, the chief whip, now took over from. And now this same senator is now scheming badly to come back again so that he will continue sharing frying pan. So what the idea is that the situation here is this time that people are no more interested in the quality representation or the competence. You understand? So that is even why some Nigerians don't even care what this government do to them. Because no matter what happens, they will say, could be that's for a bad rubbish. An example is Senator Dino Melaye, who could not come back. Matter they knew was replaced. Though whether it was a peaceful election or not. I am not saying my own personal opinion. It is what Nigerians are thinking out there. So what can you say about this kind of situation?
Well, let me start by saying that the representations at the National Assembly has been largely of misplaced priority.
Yeah.
But you don't blame the lawmakers too much. You blame the system and you blame the electorate. As a lawmaker, the function, I think we should even be asking relevant questions. I wouldn't know. I don't want to believe that majority of Nigerians are illiterate or they don't understand what legislature or lawmakers are supposed to be doing. The moment you are elected into the House of Reps or into the Senate, then the responsibility that shifts to your desk is far beyond that of a lawmaker. So what are the parameters to measure the performance of a lawmaker? If you ask me, the first one, somebody will say how many jobs he was able to attract to his constituents. Somebody will say how many street lights, how many malls. And that is why these people will insist that certain project has to be infused into the project. And through that, there have been some corrupt and sharp practices. I believe that if we are asking the right questions, if, for instance, somebody has come to campaign to us that, oh, I want to represent leadership podcast at the National Assembly, and we are asking the person, what will you be doing there? I'm sure the person will not come and tell you he will distribute motorcycles, wheelbarrows, and frying pans. So by the time the person has done 2 years and he comes back, what kind of questions do we ask? Do we judge the person based on the number of people he has been able to fill their pocket with cash? Do we judge the person based on the number of balls he has been able to construct? Or, if between that period of election and the period the person has spent in office, what has got missing? So we don't ask the right questions. However, before I forget this, I will not sit here and castigate all Nigerian politicians. I think it would be very, very unfair and insensitive to believe that all Nigerian politicians are bad. The truth is, there are people who are comfortable in their private lives and decided to come into politics because they wanted to impact on the life. Unfortunately, whether you have your personal or your private resources or not, the moment you are in public service, everybody believes you are spending government money. This is not to exonerate those who are spending government money unaccounted that they cannot account for. However, I know very well that there are people who have private funds, spend private funds, even spend it on politics. There's a difference between money and power. So I'm not, you see, even when you want to deliver the good governance you have promised the people, you need influence. You need influence. Believe me, if you are a governor and you don't have loyalists in the House of Assembly of the state you run, you are hardly going to deliver anything good to that state. Because the opposition or those who are not loyal to you in that House of Assembly will see everything you do through the political lens.
In which state in this country do you see opposition in the state assembly?
That is exactly the point I'm trying to make. That is exactly why I said
The National Assembly
there is a reason. No.
The states,
There is a reason. That is why I'm saying that there is a reason why governors should wield influence. There is a reason why politicians should wield influence. So let's not see it as if a governor wants a loyalist to be here and there, it is because they want to make money or they want to be collecting money. I know there are bad politicians. I know there are people who just for the interest of their pocket they will influence. But that is not entirely the case in every situation.
Thank you very much. You see, in Isua, finally, let's just cap it all like this. In countries like the United States, where we borrowed our presidential system of government, the Senate is seen as a stabilizing body. That is why most times they are allowed to stay there so that they garner the experience of legislation, and then they will not get used to, because and this is a kind of institution that requires proficiency in the act of legislating. That is why even in the United States, its current president, Joe Biden, as a senator, served for 24 years. Most of them served even more than 30 years. You understand? So in Nigeria, this frequency of governors trying to change the senator so that they will impose themselves and then become senators and the rest. Don't you think at the end of the day it ends up that what we now have at the National Assembly, there will be greenhorns at the red chambers who will just come because they see that as a safe haven to come after retirement as governors. What do you think about it?
Exactly. That's the problem we have, because if people get into political position, people who are not influential, let me use that word, people who have not hold that executive office, yes, people tend to hold them accountable. And somebody who have been a governor, have several aides, is now a senator. Can that person be holding a town hall meeting with his constituents?
Why not?
We have not seen that.
Why not?
At
That is why we should be asking relevant questions. We shouldn't be looking at those who are distributing a
They are not holding those.
So that is the responsibility of you and I, not them.
Town halls. You understand? Because they know that they get there not because of the support of the people. So our system is
very terrible. The Senate is in United States, they see it as a saucer that cools the tea. You understand? But in Nigeria, we see the Senate as a retirement.
So you must be somebody that would like tea too much. The kind of example you get. But the Senate in the US is a saucer.
Yes. You understand?
I understand.
You know, it's the shock absorber. You know, but in our situation, you see, people just want that political office of being a senator, so that yes, they have the political power to do whatever they want to do. And some of them see that Senate seat as a way of shielding them from investigation of what they have done before. Because once the anti-graft agency begin to investigate, they will begin to have sympathy from the hollow chamber. They will say, they are maltreating their colleagues and all that. So that's why some of them will work hard to make sure that they get into the Senate as governors. And I think it's very wrong. I know that some people have lost, you know, coming to the Senate. I've seen that happen in Borno State with the former Alimodu Sharif, you know, and in some instances like that. I think Nigerians should be more wiser now, that if you can't be able to deliver, don't even come there. And especially if you are a lawmaker, don't allow, if the person is a lawmaker, don't allow that person to go to the National Assembly and spend 4 years before coming back seeking for another. No. Ensure that every 6 months or 3 months we have a town hall. Yes. What are you doing?
What
yes. Which bill did
you are not satisfied? They begin to move on the person's record.
So exactly, that's what we should be doing.
Thank you very much. Well, you've heard it all. Governors and senators from their senatorial district at loggerheads, scheming to take each other's position. But well, as it is, the die is cast. And as the 2023 election inches closer, we'll be watching and see what Nigerians themselves can do. They are ready to liberate themselves from this slavery. They will think of casting their vote wisely, like B had said earlier. Thank you for keeping tab with us. It was a very wonderful time having you with us on the big issue. And of course, I thank our in-house analysts, Isua and B, for a very wonderful. Well, join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.